All right. Welcome, everybody. This is a very exciting day. We are here with a wonderful group of characters to discuss Robert Sput Searight's recording King's List. This record was created back in 2016 and it is about to be re-released. And I want to read a little bit from the liner notes so you get a sense of Sput's vision and intent around this album. February is the month designated for the celebration of the contributions of African Americans to society. I especially wanted to pay homage to the great civil rights leader, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., by dedicating a record to him. I've done a little research to see what music inspired a man so great and found that there were 25 songs that he wanted to hear and played regularly with his wife, either in his hotel before he spoke or during an event at which he was scheduled to share. The album is a collection of spirituals and anthems reimagined to connect audiences of all ages to the memory of Dr. King and the treasure of freedom for all humanity. So this album came out as one continuous piece with spoken word interludes from the likes of Terrence Blanchard, Kim Burrell, Dennis Chambers, and many more. Produced by Robert Sput Searight and Terrace Martin. And what Sput has done on the re-release is broken this up so you can play the music continuously. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about this record, and we're going to talk about how it looks from a 2021 perspective. So much has happened, and so many more people are in tune and aware of some things that maybe 4 years ago they weren't paying attention to. And this is a great opportunity to discuss it. And Sput has brought together a cast of intimidating industry veterans, not personally intimidating, but their resumes are intimidating to me. So I'm going to jump over and let's introduce everyone in the room. I'm going to have to move out of order here. Bear with me a second. First, composer, bassist, MC, rapper, Divinity Roxx, known for her
Not
work.
a question.
Which one should I say, MC or rapper?
All of it.
All of the above.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's no question.
I've been straightened out. Well known for her work.
You gotta add music director. You gotta add a whole lot to it.
I know. Well, I'm not going to do this justice, but here's what you can do. Look up every single person that you see. And
just messing with you.
Man, it is a journey. But I want to note, started out on the road with the great Victor Wooten. I have to throw that in there, and has several solo albums. Divinity Roxx, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
We also have in the room the great Shearin, and this one goes all the way back, man. His first credit is probably the most talked about from Rapper's Delight, but so much more has happened across the course of his career. One of the top bassists in the world, and Aretha, Janet, and then it just goes on and on and on. So please look that up. Shearin, how are you?
I'm doing great, man. Glad to be amongst the group.
Welcome, welcome. And we will move on. I want to check and see who's here and who's not, because we've got a couple of guests that'll be joining later. Aaron Spears, drummer. When we're talking about this record, I particularly want to hear what Aaron has to say, because reading his bio, he began in the Church of God and Christ, moving forward with the Gideon Band, hit the road with Usher, and his list of touring and recording credits is immense, long, but also diverse. I noticed Carrie Underwood, Jordan Sparks, and Usher all in the same paragraph. So I want to talk about that. Aaron Spears, welcome.
Good to be here, man. Appreciate you guys.
And let me see where I am. This is 2021, man, managing this. I think we still have a guest yet to come, so, a couple yet to come. So we're right there.
They're going to join us later on in the call.
Got it. Robert Sput Searight, you've got an endless list of credits, and no stranger to the world of rope-a-dope. And you are the connector, man. Like, all roads lead to Sput Searight. If you dig in and see some of the unusual and creative projects that are out there in the world, check those credits, because they'll probably come back to Sput more times than not. Sput, how are you?
Great, man. Thank you. Thank you for that little intro.
There you go. I don't know how many times I've introduced you, but it's just it's on and on, and I you know, they all know the credits. But so let's start with the record, and I kind of want to pass the mic over because more important than anything that I think about these subjects are what everyone in this room thinks about these subjects. And I want to point out that one of the places we're going to end up in this process is Chip Shearin, along with several others and some people in the room here, have started the National Black Musicians Coalition. And this is a kind of a hit the ground running action organization. I was fortunate enough to attend one of the meetings, and it feels different. It feels like here we are 2020, 2021, and things are going to move and action is going to happen. So shout out to Chip for that. And we'll teach people more in the program about all of that. So Spud, let's start with you and why are we rearranging and re-releasing this now? Let's kick it off.
I think it's important. I think, again, we're right back in my opinion. I feel like I'm telling my kids the same stories my parents were telling me when I was coming up in the 70s. So, but even worse, they're experiencing and getting to see firsthand. We were kind of sheltered from the television. We were kind of sheltered from, there was no internet. So we just got to be kids in the midst of chaos and hell, and listen to music and dance, learn how to dance and try to be Black kids growing up. So, but today is quite different. Like you said, the kids, they see everything we see, everything I see, they probably see it before me. So, I mean, obviously, you know, Martin Luther King stands for a lot in our community, along with some other brothers that fought for our rights. But I think every year we get, I kind of get creative trying to, you know, just make sure that my kids know exactly who he was. Because, you know, for kids that don't have a point of reference, and, you know, you know, I wasn't around when Martin Luther King was born. But I think the further and further we get away from his death, a lot of things get missed in the story. So I just kind of try to get creative, and one of the ways is music, and so it was a cool thing for me to kind of involve them in this process. You know, they were singing on a song called "He's Got the Whole World in His Hands," and I got a chance to get them involved and explain to all of the kids that what this was about, and gave me an opportunity to talk about Martin Luther King. So I think it's still, you know, I think at the end of the day, after all this time, I think it's more relevant now than ever to continue to tell the stories and to continue to pay tribute to the man, because everything he was saying, you know, he could still say these things today, you know. So I would imagine how disappointed he would be to know that he would have to have a march in Washington this year, or in these latter years that we've seen. So yeah, so it befitting to me to re-release this, because we started like you said, Louis, we started a coalition, and on the hands on, you know, coming off of the death of George Floyd, we decided to get together and have conversations about not just our community, but what was going on in the country, and now what's going on in the world. As we saw the whole world make a stand to racism, and it's been quite a journey, but we're determined, and we know that we're probably not going to see the end of it, but we're going to make sure we set a foundation that's going to go, you know, that's going to go and see it to the end. So
I just have two quick comments about that. You know, I don't know where I heard it, but I think I heard it today where somebody had talked about, you know, being with their grandmother back in the 60s, and something happened and she was told not, you know, not to say something. And she asked why. And the grandmother's like, just shush, I'll tell you later. And then the grandmother never told her later. So that speaks to your comment about everybody knows now, people are getting this information. And I think that's a precursor to understanding. So.
Yeah, that was Dennis Chambers.
Actually. Oh, it's right in the album.
That's in the album. Yeah.
Of course. So, it seemed like almost like an NPR interview or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, like he was talking about it. There you go. So I'd like to pass the mic around. You know, Fabian and I had a show a couple of weeks ago on the Friday before Martin Luther King Jr. Day. And one of the things that I wanted to communicate to people is that we do tend to, like, we mark a holiday and we have a historical figure, and then it kind of becomes one-dimensional and we stop thinking about it. And we think, oh, there was that, and then everything got better, or there was that, and we tend to put it away. But it is an ongoing, constant battle, is it not? I mean, y'all can speak about, I mean, this has been present for you your whole lives, correct?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I grew up in Atlanta, the home of Dr. King. And I went to an all-Black elementary school. Atlanta is pretty much predominantly an all-Black city. And like Sput, you know, I grew up in this time and space where I was allowed to be a kid. But one thing was really important to my school environment and to my home environment, and that was pride and confidence as a young Black woman. Although nobody ever said, because you are a young Black woman, I want to instill pride and confidence in you, it was just a part of my upbringing. When I look at this list, I love what you've done, Sput, because as the incredible musician you are, you brought it back to music. What was the music Dr. King was listening to? Because you know how it is, when we are getting ready to do a show, we might be listening to some music backstage or getting into a vibe. That's like a vibe setter. It's the inspiration that takes you out in front of that audience and kind of gives you that fuel that you need, that inspiration that you need to go and deliver the message that you've asked God to bring to your people through you, you know? So that's so beautiful that you went to see what was the music he was listening to. And when I look at this list, oh my goodness, when I think about this music, you know, he's got the whole world in his hands. If you were a Black kid who went to church, it's almost one of the first songs you learned. You know, you learned he got the whole world in his hands, and you learned that this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. You know, Wade in the Water was a song that we learned, that our ancestors learned as code language for how to escape the chains of slavery. When I think of Lift Every Voice and Sing, it's one of my favorite songs, because when I was a little girl in my little Black elementary school in Atlanta, H.O. Burgess Elementary School, whenever we said the Pledge of Allegiance and sang the national anthem, we followed it up with Lift Every Voice and Sing. We never left it out. It was a part of our everyday. And I don't think kids are doing that now. The lyrics to that song have so much history that is uniquely ours in this country. It's so inspiring. It's so uplifting, and it brings that confidence and instills that confidence that I believe Dr. King wanted to be instilled in all of the young Black children in this world, in this country, especially in a place like Atlanta, Georgia, where he grew up, you know, and preached every Sunday. So I just wanted to add that to the conversation. And I mean, please, everybody, just, you know, keep it moving.
Well, I think that's well said, Divi. And I can tell you, Spud, I was a little taken aback that you did this. This is highly clever, let me tell you. On top of which, I think the timing, as you said, will probably always repeat itself. I don't think, you know, some things, let's just say I think this particular work was somewhat timeless, all right? like Christmas music. You put it out and kind of stand on it. For sure, the meaning of these songs will last as long as you are able to wear that hat as cool as you are wearing it. So, you know, being a little older than you all, you know, in 1963, when we marched on DC, I was 2 years old and my dad took me to the march. You know, my great-grandfather was one of the actual founders of Black Wall Street. So we actually had a pretty good tie-in to the King family. We actually knew quite a few of them. And my great-grandmother was actually very close friends with Eleanor Roosevelt. So there was a lot of history around that kind of opened up some doors or avenues for me to meet certain people. I remember having a really important conversation with Paula Young, who was Andrew Young's daughter. We dated when I was at Duke. Some relationships, I'm glad we did, I'll tell you that. She actually right now is married to the vice president of the NAACP, Hillary Shelton. I remember getting into a conversation about Paula, about music, because I was a musician. Paula was dating a musician, me, and I wanted to know about these other people and what they thought. It was interesting. Coretta could sing. She had the voice. Martin couldn't sing at all. As she would say to him, he was a choir singer. Those were her words. She really didn't want to pick on him and say that he sucked. But he said he could carry a tune, but he was a choir singer. But music was really important to him. It shut out the arguments. It shut out the noise, the negativity that surrounded him, and it brought him back to his central place, which is that bit of spirituality. These songs that you've collected, you know, Sput, for all of us, can bring so many people back to their personal spirituality. My hats are off to you for doing this. I can't wait to see what you do next. And it's an incredible journey from where we have been to where we're continuing to go, which is a part of why we started the Black Musicians Coalition. It has become national in scope because so many other people have become aware and wanted to join. Thank goodness for that. And our hope is to continue that work. But Sput's record itself, I think, may end up being that important work for our coalition, for so many of us to be motivated by. So proud to be a part of this call and always proud of what my brother Sput does.
Thank you.
Hey man, I don't even know what else can be said. I mean, I'm gonna tell you for me, when I look at the tunes, you know, I think very much of, I'm sorry man, if my son is in the background playing Roblox right now, because that's his escape after being in school all day. But for me, I have to say, I think about when I'm getting ready to do anything, if I'm getting ready to go for a ride on my bike, there's a certain playlist that I put on to kind of get me hyped, to get me moving, to get me going. If I'm getting ready to go work out in the gym, there's a certain playlist that I put on that kind of gets me motivated, that gets me turned up. It makes me, you know, go from turning into, you know, David Banner into the Incredible Hulk. I feel like I'm getting stronger. I feel like this music is pumping me up. It's getting me hyped. You know, if I'm, you know, at home and I'm cleaning up, there's a certain records that I go to that I put on to kind of get me in the vibe or in the mood to kind of keep things moving and get the, you know, the motion happening to do the task that I have at hand. So seeing this particular list and knowing that these were songs that directly influenced and put Martin Luther King Jr. in the mode to do the work that he did, just seeing the songs itself is inspiring to me. That's incredible. Because I know that in order for him to be able to do the work that he did, to speak to the people in the way that he did, to handle all the different temperaments that were totally coming at him, and for him to be able to move the way that he did, to inspire everybody, not just us, but to inspire the entire world. And for the legacy that he's had to be inspiring, it stems from what it is that he started with. Of course, the things that were instilled in him as a young man and growing up and all of that. But to know that music directly that soundtrack has directly inspired him to be able to make the moves that he did. It's incredible. So for me to see this list, but that you created with the amount of talent and the singers and the musicians, for me it's exciting because this to me is something that I would listen to help put me in the right frame of mind when it's things that I have to deal with. You know, there's songs on here that will remind me exactly of who I am and what it is that I have to deal with on a day-to-day basis. You know, when things are not going so right, maybe I'll put on something encouraging like the whole world on his hands. That'll help me get my mind right because there's so many things that are trying to tell me otherwise.
Mm.
There's so many things that are going on that are trying to say, you know, no, there is no God.
Mm.
Because you got people who are just downright just disrespectful.
Mm.
People who want to spit on you. People who want to tell you that your life does not matter. So for me to see tunes like that here, to serve as a light to remind me of exactly what things are and what they really are, to put things in perspective, I'm really happy to see that. I gotta be honest, I'm a little bit angry because I felt like I should have known about this in 2016 when it first came out.
I put it everywhere.
Blame the label.
Blame the label.
Oh my God.
I want to jump in, spinning right off of what you're saying, Aaron, because what I'm hearing, what I'm picking up, and I'm lucky to be in this room because I'm surrounded by some great minds and individuals. I'm really, really fortunate, but I just appreciate you for bringing these people together in this space, first of all. But what I'm hearing is music is that connector. It can get us in that mood. It can get us excited. It can put us, make us tranquil, make us introspective. And for me, when I'm listening to the album, I have mixed emotions because, we grew up listening to these songs in church, right? It has a different context. But then from a musical side of things, then you hear the production, then you hear how you brought it to life in a different way. And then the interludes the interludes was what got me, man. It's what really got me because, you got little clips of different experiences and point of views coming to the front. It just brings back a flood of emotions for me. And yes, 2016, but still relevant today. And guess what? It's going to be relevant in another 10, 15, 20, 30, 50 years.
Oh, yeah.
It's timeless. And for me, what's coming to me now is just the opportunity to have articulate conversations with people from other perspectives, from other parts of the United States, bringing their voice to it. So thank you, Sput, for bringing this music here to Rope-A-Dope and doing what you do and bringing all these beautiful people here on this call today. I'm really inspired, guys, by all of you.
Yeah.
This is, I'm sorry, Sput. I just kind of want to riff off of that a little bit because I want to speak to folks who might be watching, right? So many times when I gather with Black musicians, I hear the stories. There's sort of this silent, untold, this is the way it is, everybody knows, and this, this is, so I don't hear all the stories. I'm fortunate I get to hear more intimate stories of the challenges. One of the first times Sput and I started talking about, his launching of RSVP Records, we were standing on the Santa Monica Pier and talking about this very issue. And he's like, you don't understand, this is what it's like, right? And I was really privileged, if I excuse that term, but privileged in a different way to be able to hear from his heart, like an actual truth of what it is like in the United States of America. I'm fortunate. I've had music led me to some of these understandings from a different angle, not from the church and not as a musician, but just hearing different artists along the way. And it led me to this space. But what I'm hearing from everyone in the room, and I want to communicate to people who might be watching, to whom this is not, who haven't had intimate experiences in discussing these issues with members of the Black community. The music for you, correct me if I'm wrong, has been a source of strength, a source of inspiration and uplifting, and a way to get through a very you know, an almost an intolerable, challenging situation of life, right? Not just an event. This is your whole life, right? And I want to encourage people to think about that, because that's what it's been for me, and that's what it can be. Because what I see is all of you are doing incredible things under these circumstances, right? Of life in America, right? And the music is a part of, if the music can do that and lift you up in such a way that you're so powerful and have so much compassion and understanding and ability to communicate, they can do that for just about everyone. And I think that's what's missing. Like, I look at the pop music world sometimes, and I think some people look at music as this sort of this like entertainment dance. It's not the full experience. And I think that this album can help people do that. I think all music can help people do that if approached from that perspective.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, totally agree.
I wanted to just kind of go down the list and kind of just explain why I chose the songs that I chose. Like I said, it was like a list of 25 songs or more. And obviously there's a song on the list that wasn't around when he was born. But I mean when he was alive. But I want to just talk about, there's the first song is Balm in Gilead, which is a song that my grandmother used to sing all the time. And and it was one of my favorite songs that had been rearranged and re-released by an artist named Karen Clark. And so what I thought to do was just to bring some musicians. Me and Corey were on a Snarky Puppy tour, and we got on the tour bus, and we got in the box and created this groove, and I just wrote from it, and it became the song. And so, you know, stuff like that. And I asked some people. There's a drummer named Eric Moore, and he has a sister named Denitra that sings really well. She can really sing, and I asked her to join me, and so she sung it. And I wanted to use people that wasn't really people that were kind of under the radar a little bit, you know, because I wanted the message to be more important than the actual star power. And so I was just asking all these people that I thought would be a part, that had regular, that was just up and coming and trying to, just doing their thing. And so we did. He's got the whole world in his hands. Those are all the kids. I want to bring all the kids together. My nieces, my nephews, my kids, and my homeboys and my homegirls' kids, and all of us. We came together and got them together, and that was quite fun. That was, a headache for me as the producer, but it was fun. It was fun to get everybody going, singing. Then we did Down by the Riverside. My homeboy Sean Martin, who is a keyboard player. At the time, we were always doing like these. We were introducing the city of Dallas, Texas, to Second Line, and we would always just second line everything, and just, just try to do that. We had to just second line everything, and so we decided to take that song and second line and got some brass players, horn players together, and we did Down by the Riverside. And I think that, all of these songs, like I said, songs we grew up hearing in the church, gonna lay down my burdens down by the riverside, study one no more, So Wade in the Water. There's a group called Mary Mary who did a version of Wade in the Water. Yeah. So I kind of took a spin off of what they did and kind of just revised it and made it new to another pair of sisters named Candy and Peaches West. And they did their thing on it, and it turned out really cool. And the next song is Just a Closer Walk with Thee. That song, my grandfather used to play this song on the piano, and what's interesting about that is he really couldn't play the piano, but he could play the song. So he would only play the bass line and the melody. So he would go boom 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 da 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 boom 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 da 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 da. It was, but I learned how to play that. All of the kids in the family learned how to play that song at all the family reunions and all of the gatherings for the holidays because it was just the bass line and the melody. So we'd all pick it out just like he did. And it kind of inspired, probably some of the early, inspiration to my musicianship, my wanting to be a musician. So that, that was special to me that was one of his favorite songs, Martin Luther King's favorite songs. So I was like, so there was a real, relationship there with that song. And then there's another song called Gotta Make 100. 99 and a half won't do. We've heard so many quartets sing that song. But it was one artist that sung that song on a record. His name is Tommy Sims. And that inspired me. I was like, you know what? I want to take and redo Tommy Sims' arrangement of 100. And I got my boy Doobie Powell to sing it. And I thought that, that turned out really dope and fun. Daryl Freeman, a bass player, played on it. Mark Lettieri played guitar. So it was cool. I did all the other instruments, but it was a fun vibe. And if you listen to it, it got real funky. And a guy named Keith Anderson played the saxophone on it. Then we Lift Every Voice and Sing, which is the national Black anthem, pretty much. It's been a part of my life since I was born. I learned that song before I knew the Star Spangled Banner. I thought it would be a cool idea to do something different on this song, because this song is always sung every year for Black History Month and for every Black gathering, caucus or convention, they sing the song, And so I went back to my alma mater. I went to Arts Magnet, a school where Erykah Badu, Warhol Grove, Nora Jones, and a few other people went to. So I went back to that school and I talked to the orchestra lady, and I asked her that if I created an arrangement, could I get her to get the kids to play it, and maybe we do something where we get them to come in the studio and record it. And they did it. They worked it out. And so these high school, this high school string players got an opportunity to go in the studio for the first time and record themselves. Now, I mean, like it was a first time experience for everybody, I guess, because I had never done anything like this either. So I called up on my friend. His name is Roy Cotton, and he came through, and Roy kind of tweaked everything. I did the arrangement, but he kind of tweaked it and made it sound like a conductor, like a string arranger for real. Because I'm like a composer, like a songwriter trying to do string arrangements. And he came and flipped that thing around, and they did the song, and I was like, it's just gonna be strings and vocals. And so we created like this real mystique Pink Panther vibe with the National Black Anthem. And it turned out really cool. So I was really excited about that. And I had my friend who's an opera singer. His name is Nathan Myers. He's also an artist on my label, and he sung it. And when you hear it, it gave you chills. Mm-hmm. Joshua Fit the Battle of Jericho is the next song, which is A song I grew up also hearing. My mom has a group that sings Negro spirituals, African Negro spirituals is what they call it. And these are mostly songs that you would find the slaves singing in the fields. And this song, Joshua Fit the Battle of Jericho, is a very rhythmic and exciting song that my mom used to sing in a group. So I thought it'd be cool to have my mom and her group sing this song. And I mean, when you hear it again, that's another song that'll give you chills because it takes you back to our ancestors who were in the slavery days. So all right, this next song is a song I threw this song in there because and I titled it "What's Really Going On." It actually didn't come out to the 1970. It was "What's Going On" by Marvin Gaye, but I just thought it was cool to ask the question again, you know, and just revisit the song. So I got Nigel Hall, and we made it an instrumental. I got my boy B Slade to sing some oohs and ahs over it, and we had some samples of Marvin Gaye here and there. But so just to throw a bone into the mix. I wanted to add something that I thought was relevant to the time period. So young, gifted, and black. So when I did research on this, I found out that he heard Nina Simone sing this song at a concert, and he wanted to hear it again, but she hadn't recorded it. So he request so many times for her to come and sing before one of his sermons, and she never made it. So Aretha Franklin sung that song at one of his sermons, before one of his sermons. So I thought that was a unique story, so I wanted to use that on here. So I had a person that they called Little Aretha in the Dallas area. Her name is Tomion West. She's Candy and Peaches West's mother. So she sung it, and that was pretty cool because she's like a person that raised me. So it was cool to have her on it. And then there was a song by Sam Cooke called "Change Is Gonna Come." And so I had my boy Jairus Mose, guitar player, Keith Anderson, and the singer was Keith Young. And I mean, I don't even have to say, I heard Brandy sing the song. I was trying to get Brandy to let me I wanted her to sing in the bathroom. At this time, she was doing these videos on Instagram where she was singing in the bathroom, and she was singing some of the baddest stuff I ever heard ever, and with so much emotion. And I wanted to just get her to sing it in the bathroom and send me that and let me put music to it. But I couldn't get it. I couldn't make it happen. But so my boy, but anybody knows the power of that song. When you hear that song, Change Gonna Come. If you ain't moved by that, then something's just wrong. But I really felt like it was important to have that on the record, and that just the fact that that was one of his songs, it just speaks to where he was. He knew he wasn't gonna see it, but he knew it was coming. And the last song is When a Black Man's Blue, which is the most interesting song to me because it was a Duke Ellington song. Duke Ellington big band song, and then they added lyrics to it. When a black man is blue. And the fact that this song is not a gospel song, it was a jazz song. And I like the idea that he was so versatile in the songs that he chose to listen to. It wasn't always church, it wasn't always spirituals, it wasn't always national black anthems. It was also, he had a variety of taste, you know, in the music that he wanted. And so this was the opportunity for me to like take a page out of my producing hat and basically do some hip hop. So I kind of sampled the original song. My sister is featured on it, and a guy that actually plays in the Duke Ellington orchestra, his name is Shelly Curl. I invited him to play on it, and I invited a friend of mine who's a D to rap over it. So this completed the record, and I had my people like my godmother, some people that I worked with, and some mentors get on in between and say some words and give some stories that they experienced during the time period and what it was like to grow up during a time where there was signs that said white restroom only or black restroom, whites only, or only whites can drink out of this water fountain. You know, I just wanted to know what that was like as a kid. You know, how did they maneuver in those days, and what it felt like. So they told some of the stories, and then when it came to Dr. King, I didn't want to get the cliche go-to speeches that he made. I had to dig deep and get some of the quotes that and get some of the real powerful quotes, get some real powerful quotes from him that I had never heard before. Some of them I had never heard before. Most of them I had never heard before, and I think everybody will agree that these were some different ones, you know. So that was the whole point behind it, you know, getting his voice on the record, because, you know, I feel like it's important for the kids to hear his voice, you know, and just the power and the cadence that he spoke with it can never be duplicated. And so, yeah, so that completed the whole record. But now you get the gist of why I did it and why, you know, I picked the songs. And now we're gonna try to re-release it so that everybody can kind of experience it and get a vibe and really want to celebrate him. And the other thing was not to just celebrate him on his birthday, but to continue to celebrate him throughout the month of February. So,
and the year, and dig deeper.
Yeah,
I'd like to. Sorry to interrupt, but I'd like to welcome guitarist, vocalist, and golfer Kat Dyson to the room. Look up this legend. Kat, how are you?
Welcome. I'm good. Hey, you know, I got this, the call. I knew that it was coming. I didn't know exactly what day, and I'd already preset meeting with my agent because, you know, in Cali, the safest place you can meet is outdoors. And when they closed all the restaurants. So, but when Sput calls, you know, I said, I'm going to be there. And we just happened to be in a place where the signal wasn't good. But this project is so momentous. And just looking over some of the titles and thinking about my life in Virginia, going to segregated schools for a while. I mean, if you know anything about the law in Virginia, until 1973, it was illegal for a white person and a black person to marry. So, and a lot of the schools remained segregated until they forced us, you know, to be in schools together. So in every school choir that I ever was a part of, Joshua Fit the Battle of Jericho was what the school choirs, that was one of the staple songs that you learned. You know, that was, that we would have the choral competitions, and that would be the battle cry. So when I saw that, I was like, wow, you went back and you got them all. Young, Gifted, and Black. You know, every HBCU choir that I have ever heard or been a part of, we all continue to do the Negro spirituals. And it doesn't surprise me that Dr. King would be listening to these songs to kind of gird his loins as he stepped into this fight that never stopped even until the day he died.
Right.
So, but this project definitely has to come out, must be out, you know, especially now that it looks like we're at the end of that 60-year rollback. Whenever something happens, it's always 40 to 60 years. We get to the point that we have progress, and then they want to roll us back. We get to 40, 60 years, and then if you count from the Emancipation Proclamation and just add 40 to 60 years, which, you know, it takes a generation for you to lift yourself up. The minute things started getting kind of equal, they want to pull it back. So this project is as timely and a soundtrack to where we are now as where our parents were then. I mean, it's good and it's sad in a way, but it's really good.
Absolutely. Sput, you know that Martin was such a fan of music. Unlike us, you know, we download the MP3. He would download the artist. In other words, he would have Mahalia, he would call Mahalia on the phone and have her sing to him when he was down. Can you imagine that? Precious Lord was one of his favorites from Mahalia. But just the whole idea that you could call Mahalia on the phone and say, baby, I ain't feeling well. Hit me with that spiritual. It's strong history.
No matter the time, though.
Yeah,
like
man.
It didn't matter what time of day it was.
That's right.
He would call. It could be late night. He would call, and she would answer, and she would sing.
They'd sing. So this project is crazy, man. I just think it is one of the brilliant things. You've done a lot of brilliant things, my brother. But this one here. Love it to death, man. Love you too, boy. I tell you, I'm just so proud of you, man.
Thank you. Well, thank y'all. I mean, thank y'all for being a part of this. I also wanted to just bring it around to what we're doing together in the coalition, because we have come together to continue that which he started, you know, and he and others, like I said, started, but to see it through in a way that that's quite different, because we're musicians, and, you know,
right.
we're going to use our platforms to speak towards inequality in a way that people have to listen, because they listen to us whether they want to or not, you know. And it's just amazing to be able to use our platforms to do that, and
right.
and to see the resistance at the same time, you know.
Absolutely.
So which tells us we have a great work. But I wanted to just make sure that we, you know, in this situation, that we talk about, you know, what that is and how we all came about. Chip is the president, and we have already started doing work, and we had already started, you know, helping our community, and there will be a whole lot of more things to follow that you will hear about. But you know, we're gonna go public with it. We actually are, as we speak, going public with it. But I just want to make sure that everybody know that this is a real movement. This is not a, you know, stop and go. You know, this is a real movement that we're gonna see through.
Absolutely. I think we're all excited about that too. COVID probably brought us together. I can tell you, I don't know if we would have been able to pull it off the way we could have without it. A global pause will definitely cause new things to happen. There'll be new business trends, new way that we associate with people. And hopefully we'll look at COVID as a way that we actually healed some things that have been broken for a long time. You know, that's our hope. You have hope and you have faith, right? I think we definitely have more faith than we have hope that we can pull off the work. You know, that's the thing about it, because there's a body of work that never will be finished. Obviously, Martin didn't finish it. Malcolm X didn't finish it. Stokely Carmichael didn't finish it. And the list is on and on. It is an ongoing body of work. I was blessed enough to know that my brother Sput, at the same time I wanted to do this, was actively in his spirit wanting to pull people together. it is with that being said that we've been able to combine right around the week of George Floyd's death and really move this conversation into steps of action. And we're doing it every day. Every day we are on it and trying to figure it out. It's never been done before. And that's one of our sayings on our Zoom calls is it's never been done before. So we're rolling up our sleeves, Lewis and Fabian, and we are trying to figure it out. And for all musicians who get a chance to hear this, we definitely want you to be a part of this. You don't have to be Black to join. All right. We want all people who are willing to have a spirit of pulling people together to be a part of this. Similar to the NAACP, they have members from all over the place. We know what the weakness is that we're serving, and that's our target. But our heart is more open for the sake of trying to do good for all people. It just happens right now that we know that there is a large hole in the less equitable position of being of color, of being Black, and that is the market that we serve.
Amen.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you for that, Chip. I did have question. I did have, you answered a couple of questions that I do have about what people can do, and who's welcome, and in what way. I think, one of the things that can happen around this is supporting this release King's List. So some money can end up over at the NBMC. And where can people go? If people are interested in supporting, where do they go? Is there a website? Is there a website? Is it Connect on Social?
Yeah. Aaron, you want to tell them about that?
Yeah, so you definitely, one place that's a help for us is our social media. We're on Instagram, we're also on Facebook, but you can connect directly with us on our website. The website is National BMC Online. Let me just verify that. Am I right about that? I'm not really
we'll post it in the credits and let people know where to go.
It is nbmc.info.
nbmc.info.
.info, yes. But if you did put in National Black Musicians Coalition, it's going to send you to nbmc.info.
Right.
Great.
nbmc.info. Thanks, Kat, because you have the last thing that I remember, it was the BMC online.
Yes.
Just a comment.
Well, we've gotten the rights to pretty much all of it, so all of it is going to send you to us.
Fantastic.
Because online, you really have to log.
I just want to throw in, Chip, you mentioned something that is so important and so precious to me, and that is the concept of community and the concept of coming together. So, as I observe the power structure in, it doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter if it's an issue of African-American injustice or whether it's rich versus poor, whatever the issue, the powers that be, the strong established system sort of counts on people remaining independent and separate instead of coming together. And it's the coming together that really moves us forward. In my opinion, I do, I'm not a heavy scholar, but in watching the movie Selma and reading about the events that happened and what really led to the some change was because people from different walks of life and different places came together around the issue, and that is really helpful. So I think donations are great, and we're doing that, but also just being present. Get present and accounted for. Follow on social, comment, ask questions, learn. Those things are super important, and it's not just for what you do as an individual. I want to speak to the audience. It's that people will see you.
Absolutely.
These cats are doing the work every day. They'll see you in the room.
Yeah, that's the thing. You know, it's similar to Wallace D. Muhammad. You know, he calls in on Malcolm X and so many others, and their early training for the Nation of Islam was a self-education, was to re-educate Black people to understand their self-value. Now, I can tell you for Black musicians, they are self-undervalued at times, where they are probably operating on 20% of their capacity at any given time. There's so much that they don't know. And then you run across an individual like Sput who is running at a much higher level. And the idea is to share the knowledge of Sput and Aaron with the younger sect to see, well, wait a minute, let me pull me together so they'll understand what it is like to cross a divide to make things better with other people. But we have to start with the education of the younger Black musicians to make sure that they are whole, that they understand. So we are very into financial responsibility, health and wellness, get into that, education. These are all the things that are part of the National Black Musicians Coalition. It's just not bringing people together, but it's back to the throw of let's educate, make sure that we're whole, help these Black people out who need to know, wait a minute, I didn't even know I didn't know that. That's the thing about it. And then move forward from there. And that also includes, Lewis, a person like yourself who has a wealth of experience at a part of our industry that most Black kids don't know anything about. To have you be a part of that educational structure to say, you know what you guys can do? Maybe you weren't the best drummer like Aaron Spears or Sput, but let me show you another way that actually affects creativity for the common good of our nation. Look what I've done with this creativity and with my own to bridge that gap, to bring people together. So it's through all of us that we have it. Fabian, your creative talents. We want Black people to know that it's possible to be a Fabian Brown. That's really important to us, you know.
Not easy.
So our doors are open for all of those things.
It's not easy to be Fabian Brown, but
good thing.
my line, I say it every week. Nobody doesn't like Fabian Brown. I've not met a single individual that doesn't like this man. But I hear you, and for me on this side, it's. And I always try to communicate this to people that there's a set of beliefs that you're not even aware that you're believing. And that's what perpetuates this the most. You know, you read James Baldwin and he was talking about that specifically. Like this doesn't work unless people go within and think for themselves and start to recognize their own worth. So I hear you loud and clear on that. And that's unlearning, the great unlearning.
Yeah, for all of us, Lewis, for all of us.
Yeah. Well, this has been absolutely amazing. Thank you for your time, not just here, but for the greater good and positive benefit of humanity, the things that all of you do. I have great respect. I can't possibly overstate my respect for Robert Sput Searight. It's you know, it was years ago when I looked at the landscape of the people that I was meeting as this business started to grow, as we started to build community. And I kind of went, one of these things is different, right? This guy stands out, and he's not presenting that in any way. He's just over there quietly. And I'm like, how is this all working? And then you see how it's all working. And like I said earlier, the roads lead back to Sput, the great connector. Great man. Thank you, Robert Sput Searight. And thank you to all the guests today. We really appreciate you. I hope we get to hang out again. And I hope that people will receive this record in a new and enlightening way as it was intended.
Listen, go out and get it. It doesn't have bad words on it. It's a very uplifting. It's very uplifting. The kids can sing it and the grandmas can sing it.
There we go.
Go get it. Go get it. And thank you, Lewis and Fabian. Thank y'all for allowing me to re-release it, because I wanted to make it easier for people, and I also wanted to do. We decided to do a director's cut where you can just actually hear the lyrics. I mean, the spoken word separately, and just get to the music, straight to the music. And I think you will enjoy it. I think you'll be pleased with the work we did, and I'm just grateful we could re-release it.